want to do something a little more laid back. Just kind of talking, kind of giving my thoughts on some new systems and things coming to the game with 4.5 and 5.0 and on. A couple of things that I'm looking forward to that I want to kind of dabble in and mess with. So I want to discuss them here, and feel free to comment. Let's get a discussion going. If you want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. First one we want to start off with, which is really cool to me because I got them on my phone here. So if you're wondering why I'm looking down, that's why. I'm really excited because I play solo a lot. I do most of the content solo. So when I remember when the Squadrons first came out, I thought that was a great idea. I was like, damn, I can run some dungeons by myself. If I don't have a lot of time, I can go in and do these things and still do dungeons and not miss some of the content without having to get in a duty finder and wait forever. Normally don't have to wait forever though, because I mostly play tanks. I have every tank to 70, and so I get insta queues when I play tank. But when I don't want to play a tank, I don't like waiting 15 to 30 minutes in between each dungeon. So the thing that I think is going to be super cool is trusts. I think it's a great idea. I've been doing a little bit of looking into it from Final Fantasy XI because I didn't play that game. But from what I understand, it's like companions, kind of like in Skyrim. If you get the mod where you can have multiple companions, you build up a team and you got to find these people in the world and quest for them and do that stuff, which I think has the potential to be really, really cool for this game, especially for people that like to solo, if they don't have a lot of time to play. And plus the idea of just going out and gathering people, especially if they, if you can interact with them in some way where you have conversations with them and maybe you can build up relationships with them, kind of like a Mass Effect style, almost like a Mass Effect game. That would be kind of cool. It'd be something different to see. Star Wars does it, and it was one of the cooler features in my opinion. It helps build your personal story and all that. So if you can go around and collecting them and then finding different people that play different roles, or maybe you can assign them different roles, I'm not sure how that's going to go. But the idea of it is really cool, and I'm excited for it. With me playing solo most of the time, going out and, if I only got an hour before, when I get home from work or the gym, and I only got like an hour or two to play, and I just want to fart around for a while, I can do that at my own pace. I don't have to worry about other people. And but some of the restrictions I believe that it should have is, I'm sure you won't be able to do raiding and stuff with it. It needs to be restricted in a way to where it's not splitting up the player base too much. I'm super excited for it, especially if they do it kind of like a BioWare style. I just think that would be so cool. And if you can glamour them, I would kind of rather almost have it where you actually have to outfit them with gear, and their gear matters. I think that would be cool. It probably won't, but I do think that would be cool, because then you can still collect other items and stuff from dungeons and give it to your people. It would mean more, I think, if they did it that way, but they probably won't. The second thing is the new world visit system. I think they call it something different. I don't remember the exact term for it, but where you can go to other servers and participate and stuff. I think that's really cool. Different data centers. Just bringing the community more together. There's not too much more to say about that. I think it's great. Another one that we have on here is with 5.0. Of course, with raising your level cap to 80, you're going to inevitably have new abilities. I've watched a couple of videos on this and heard some other people's takes on it, from some saying that they need to simplify the abilities, kind of like they do in PvP. I'm not sure if I'm on board with that one. One thing I do enjoy about this game and with each class is the rotation is a learning curve, and if you're good at the rotation and doing your rotation right, and you macro properly and you set up your hotbars properly, like it shows in the game. Your skill with your class, the time you put in with that class to get better at it, it really shows through. So I don't mind doing some chain abilities with one button. And what I mean by that would be like, say with like Paladin, like your aggro combo and your DPS combo. You can do that because that would free up some space. So on mine I have, you know, one, it's all the way up to 6. And you can condense that down to 3 buttons for each sin. I would be okay with that, but I think everything else should be left how it is. Because it frees up a little bit of space on your bar, but you're not taking away too much from the skill needed to be efficient with your job. And you can do that with everyone, so just the little combo things, and that's it. Everything else should stay the way that it is. Some people are talking about they should do it just like they do in PvP, where it's like super simplified, where certain but then it would, to me, it would make each job just feel more robotic. Like, it would make it almost too easy to do. It'd be too easy for everybody to be optimal at it, I think. So it works for PvP for the faster nature of it, but for the way like raiding and stuff goes, I don't want them to mess with it too much. And of course, you know, kind of combining some more abilities together to kind of streamline a couple of things wouldn't be so bad. Maybe you could put like fight or flight and rampart together, because that's another thing. I think they need to get rid of the cross roll abilities and do something else. I don't like it. Maybe have some basic shared abilities for all like the best ones, and then figure out something else for the rest of them. Like every tank should have rampart, because it's just a tank ability. Like, it just sounds right. Bulwark and anticipation together, something like that. I could see that to help you go down on bloat. One thing that I do want to happen though is when they add the new abilities, I want it to almost give you more variety in your rotations. You know, to add a little more than just like, okay, you have this one optimal rotation you can do and you go with that. I want it to be, I guess, more situational stuff to be added to most classes, you know. And if you mess up, you mess up. It's just part of the game and how you learn. But just extending current rotations, things like that. So adding new abilities that buff some of the old ones and kind of change up the way the rotation works, I think is the best way to go. So another one is where they're putting the TP and MP together. I think that's fine, because most of the time you either use one or the other. And it also gives them the ability to utilize the class bars more. So like the one that comes to mind the most would be like lilies for white mage. They can come with more uses with that somehow. I don't know, because you don't really use TP as a mage, but or like paladin, finding a different way for the oath gauge to work out, maybe where the abilities use a little bit less, but instead of using MP, you uses up your oath gauge, so you're working harder to build your oath gauge up. And then with the new abilities, they can have it where it's different mechanics for building up your oath gauge, things like that. So I'm okay with that change. And one of the last things I want to talk about on this one is the blue mage. Some people are really upset that it's not going to be like a fully integrated job. I'm on the, I guess the latter part of that. I think it's a really good idea. It sounds good in practice. Now, how it works out on paper or in play, we'll see once it comes out here pretty soon. But the reason it just gives you something else to do in the game, you know, so to break up your downtime, just like how you kind of in between dungeoning, when you get tired of running dungeons and stuff like that, you switch over to a crafter, and you go off and do things on crafting. But you're adding more variety to the game, and I think it's a great way to do it. And I hope, if this works out well, that they'll actually do it with more jobs, like jobs that are similar to the blue mage, like Beastmaster, and some other ones like Mathematician. Just ones that they can still do fan service by adding all of these jobs in the game, but they don't have to worry about balancing them in. They can do some really different mechanics and really different, so they can do some crazy gameplay mechanics with these types of classes, and they can set it aside and not have to worry about it balancing in with everything else. So they can really do some interesting things with their playstyle and how they interact in the game. I think that's a great idea. So I hope it works, because I want to see more of it. From what I hear or how I've read it and seen it in the videos, is the idea of it I think is great. And if it plays out as good as it sounds to me on paper, then I think it'll be awesome. Any way that you can give you more options and things to do while playing the game, and not having it to where, like, okay, I'm going to run these dungeons, I'm going to level up my crafters, I'm going to run some dailies, and then kind of PvP in between, which is all fine and good. It's a tried and true formula for MMOs, but they're really trying something different here. So I think that's great. A lot of the new systems that they're adding, I think, are going to add a lot to this game to make it more enjoyable all around. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the potential rework for Dark Knights. They've been talking about that they know that Dark Knight's a little wonky right now, and they were going to need to do a complete rework. I was sad to see the state of the way they play as of right now, because I mained in Heaven's Ward was a Dark Knight. I love the way the class played before. I like the idea of, mixing up using magic to do your damaging spells and things, and then having to steal MP. I liked the way it flowed before, and it's sad to see that it is the way that it is. I think it felt like before that the class had a pretty good, skill ceiling, that you could do well in it, but if you were good at it, like, you could keep up, your dark side and still have your grit up, and then if you were good at doing the rotation and practiced a lot, that you could keep your MP up, and that stuff would really work really well. And it was a bit of a challenge, but I feel like they tried to almost dumb it down for this one, and it just didn't work. Now it just feels like I'm spamming dark arts all the damn time, and it's not as hard to keep your MP up. So that's why I ended up switching back over to Paladin for this one, and Warrior. I've kind of split it up between the two, but so if they were doing a whole nother rework for Dark Knight, that's going to be great in the new expansion, because I want Dark Knight to be my main tank. In the new Paris Fan Fest, they're going to give out more details about that, so that'll be good. And I guess that's it for this one. Just kind of a rambling video, just talking about some of the things that I'm excited to see and my ideas on what they're going to do with them and how it's going to affect the game. And let's talk about some of it in the comments section. I'll reply to as many of them as I can. I know I probably won't get any, but if I see them, I'll reply to them. So, it's Corebox here. Y'all have a good night, and have fun killing shit.